Phantasm Remastered. This is the remastered Blu-ray edition of Phantasm. If you have not experienced Phantasm, you need to re-experience the first one through this Blu-ray edition. Don Coscarelli is the guy who directed this film. And I actually interviewed him for an episode of the Film Threat podcast. Go back and look for it if you subscribe to the Film Threat podcast, which I assume you all do already. But Phantasm just haunted me as a kid. I remember first getting cable, and this was one of the first movies to have to show on cable, and it was uncensored. So it's really like incredible that you get to see this like with. I have to start over. So
whenever you're ready.
Okay. Do you want to turn it off and delete that one? And
no.
Okay. I just think that we just have to be aware of like.
Yeah. Not be an idiot. Yes.
Yeah. That's like yeah. Okay. You start over. Phantasm is one of my all-time favorite horror films, and it's now out in a Phantasm remastered Blu-ray edition. This is the Steelbook. Yes, it's signed by the director Don Coscarelli, who I interviewed for the Film Threat podcast. If you don't subscribe to the Film Threat podcast, I don't even know why you're watching me now, but the Film Threat podcast, which is on everything, I interviewed Don about this edition of Phantasm. It is the ultimate edition of the movie. I can't really speak for the Phantasm sequels. They vary in quality, but the original Phantasm was one of my all-time favorite horror films as a kid. It was haunting. It was weird. What I loved about it is they didn't try to explain everything. What were these weird ghouls? Why were they shrinking them in tiny caskets and sending them to this other strange world to be slaves? It's bizarre and it's scary, and it has just some incredibly great gore effects. But if you've never seen it, you need to see it. And this edition is the best you will ever see it. Don Coscarelli, who also directed, another little recommendation, John Dies at the End. But this is fantastic, and it's the best edition. And I relived all my memories of seeing Phantasm as a kid. And one of the things I got to thank Don Coscarelli for in my interview with him on the podcast was for including nudity. Nudity, which is something that's kind of been lost in horror films these days. You know, they kind of have taken that out of it, that element of you know what, I like good nudity, you know, share it around, nudity of all types. But that's what was great about seeing Phantasm as a kid, was the sort of, you know, healthy nudity that was included, which has kind of been lost in modern horror films today.